Welcome to the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast.
Hi, I'm David Manti, and welcome to a new episode of the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast. With me this week is Lindsay Martwick, Director of Retail at Higher Love. How you doing today, Lindsay?
Really good today. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing excellent, and I'm excited because it's kind of a special episode because we knew each other a lifetime ago, and then you got into the cannabis industry, and it's like, oh, let's do it again.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's been fun to reconnect for sure.
So before we get started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You could also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. If you'd like to email the podcast, you can reach me at david@cannabisequipmentnews.com with email the podcast in the subject line. You could also subscribe to our daily newsletter. Make sure you get it delivered to your inbox first. So, Lindsay, tell me the story. How did you get involved in cannabis?
It actually was a pretty serendipitous experience. I had moved back up to Upper Michigan with some life changes that were happening that pulled me out of Madison, and moved back to the area, got into a job doing working for a local trial court, and they were dissolving the position. And my dad, ironically, had said, hey, I have done some talking with the executives down at this new cannabis company. You're looking for a job. They know they've got a bunch of different opportunities. Why don't you go see what they have to say? And so I met some of the executives. This was before any of our retail locations were open yet. And met with them, and we hit it off. They liked some of my general work experience historically. They liked just some of the different skills that I brought to the table, and had a little bit of a dabbling and experience in cannabis. They all just kind of, all the pieces came together and it worked out for everyone.
Well, that is excellent. How did Higher Love get its start?
It's got kind of a little bit of a longer history, a little bit more of a hidden history that a lot of folks don't really know about. Our president and founder, Joni Moore, had, she's a botanist. She's got some really beautiful degrees and holistic practices behind her name. And she had herself been growing products for a while and was a caregiver. She also had worked for a cannabis company in the Houghton, Michigan area lifetimes ago, and in the medical world. And some things kind of happened in her life, and she had some communication with some of our other executives, and questions were asked about CBD products and how this could work to help anxiety, and a conversation just kind of organically started about the value of the cannabis product and all of its natural benefits, whether THC or CBD or some of the other cannabinoids that are part of the plant. And the conversation evolved into, well, is this something we should do? Do we want to bring this experience of wellness and empowering people to make decisions for themselves in their wellness journey? And do we want to put our names behind something that reflects that and create a company that is the mission, that is what we strive for? And from that, Higher Love was born. And we started just with a grow facility. We had our main grow facility is an old military base in Republic, Michigan. And that is where our primary grow facility is now. It was retrofitted to meet our needs. It's a beautiful, large grow facility. It's very impressive to go and see it. And then from there, the intention was to try to open a few retail chains and or retail locations and see what would happen from that. And they decided Crystal Falls was going to be the first location. That is my hometown. That's where I was from. So I felt that kind of personal connection to wanting to get into it and really being able to give back to my hometown in a way that I never thought that I would be able to do. And from that, then from the grow facility started in about 2019. And then our first retail location in Crystal Falls popped up in February of 21.
Well, One of the things I hear about retrofitting old facilities, and it's particularly interesting because it's an old military base, is that it can be quite a headache in terms of sanitizing it and making sure that there's nothing that can contaminate the crop. Have you guys run into any issues with that? Or, from the kind of ground level, did you guys make sure to kind of remediate everything so that didn't happen?
Oh, absolutely. The work effort that was put into retrofitting that facility was very, very substantial. There's always factors. I mean, it's an old concrete building, right? So you really have to pay attention to humidity levels, the amount of sunlight, just the temperature within the environment, and regulating that within a concrete building in extreme temperatures. Up in the UP, not too far from away from Madison, the temperatures are very, very extreme. We have very, very cold winters and very hot, humid summers. So it's constantly something that they are very, very focused on. They have round the clock staffing there to make sure that all of the levels are staying right where they need to be, to make sure that our organically grown product is meeting all expectations, that is the highest quality that they can absolutely produce. But it's interesting because some of the spaces that we don't actively use still house some of the old industrial equipment there that may be of interest to you as well.
Sure.
But there's old generators there still that ran the facility that are the size of a room. It's just insane. So yes, that was a very significant effort that they put into that building to make sure that it was sound and it was an environment that was safe and fruitful for our flower.
One thing that I thought stands out about Higher Love is the company's philosophy. And it sounds like that's driven from the top down, from Joni Moore. And how did that work? Just because we see a lot of times where cannabis companies start with good intentions and then just the realities of operating a day-to-day business kind of pull away from that a little bit. How were you able to take kind of what Joni envisioned and spread that throughout the company's mission, its approach to cultivation, and its approach to dispensaries?
Yeah. The mission is what drives us. That is first and foremost. Anytime that we're working with a new vendor or we're opening a new store or bringing on new individuals, we lead first and foremost and solely with our mission. We believe in our mission. And I think that because it originated from Joni, but the team that she's been able to bring on board and the employees that we've been able to cultivate throughout the years all have a very strong appreciation for our mission. We want to work towards appealing to as many people as we can because we have all walks of life that come through the door. We do have some of our medical card users that come in. We have some of my favorite customers that we have coming through the door are groups of 70-year-old women that come in. They're having their little afternoon gathering or a little social day that they have, and they will all come into the store together, and they'll come in and they'll just be giggling and laughing and, oh, what about this and what about this? And we've always wanted what we create here within Higher Love to appeal to as many people as possible, whether they're a lifetime user or a first-time trier. And I think that really has just resonated with people. We want to step away from the traditional stereotypes, the traditional vibes that people may have had in their mind all of these years about what a dispensary is, what that pot shop is down the road. How are they going to bother us? Are they going to is this going to impact, my day to day? Am I going to smell this? Things like that. And our mission has always been, we want to be a part of the community. We want to grow and live with them because we have such a focus on wellness and inclusion and community. And it just, I guess, long story short, we all just believe in the mission. And that's where we've been able to continue to follow it and practice by it and promote it. And it's just an expectation that we have. And yeah, we just love it.
So cultivation starts in 2019. Crystal Falls opens in February 21. When did you come on board?
I came on board in January of 21. So I like to say negative day 15 is when I started. So I've got to be a part of all of it, which has been, with the exception of, the onboarding of the grow, that was pre me, but I've really gotten to see everything from the beginning.
So what was it like opening that first location in Crystal Falls, and how has that template changed as you've opened additional locations?
It was an event. It was crazy. It was, you go into it and you have no clue what to expect. You don't know what the experience is going to be. You don't know if the computers are going to work. So, you've got to have backups for your backups and plans for your plans. And, it was a lot of the process to obtain a license is, it's always a hurry up and wait, right? You do all the work that you can possibly do, and you have your inspection, and then you wait, and then you have your next inspection, and then you wait. And so for every store opening, and I guess this probably has been pretty consistent across now for our 7th store that we're going to be opening here pretty quick, we work as hard as we possibly can to make sure that we're sound and make sure that we're following all the regs. And then we just wait and see when things drop in. And it was the same experience for Crystal Falls as it is now here for Menominee. And in Crystal Falls, I would say we had a skeleton crew. We had no clue what to expect. We had very, very small supplies. We weren't quite perfected yet on what we wanted to sell to our customers, what customers were going to want. We're establishing our rapport with all of our vendors throughout the state. And I would say that would probably be the biggest difference between opening Crystal Falls and as we've progressed, is the relationships that we've built are, of course, stronger. There's more of them. So we can have a little bit easier flow of product sourcing, and we know what we want. We know what we like. We've kind of fine-tuned our shelves. We've fine-tuned our displays a little bit. So I would say over the years, it's gotten a little bit easier just because we know a little bit more what to predict, but the chaos of kind of getting to this point is still the same. And I don't know if that will ever change.
Did you meet any resistance in Crystal Falls or any of the other cities?
Yeah. So Crystal Falls, no, I'm happy to say that the city was very ready, very welcoming, very open. They have been our biggest advocate. And I will say in the majority of our locations, that has been the experience. We have had a couple of locations where the community hasn't quite been on board. They're not quite warmed up to us yet. And so then that's okay. We push forward. We're friendly. We're accommodating. We are always trying to be a good business neighbor to anybody that's around us. And kind of just continue to be kind, continue to be neighborly, and let them see what we do within the community with a little bit of time, the donations we've given back, the community work that we give back, the volunteering. And that tends to really warm people up and help people see who we are as humans and what we want to do, despite the fact that they might not be on board with the cannabis aspect of it. So yeah, we have seen a little bit of resistance.
I mean, I understand that. And I mean, I feel like any new business, really, there's a little bit of pushback from any part of the community. But what kind of donations and other volunteer work have you guys done in the communities?
Yes, we have in 1 year alone, we provided over 200 different independent donations to our communities across the UP. I don't have exact figures for what we've donated to the community, but we've been able to be very, very, very generous. And I mean, we've donated to St. Vincent de Paul's across the UP. We've donated to local organizations helping to restore theater programs. We've done work with animal shelters and volunteering with animal shelters. In fact, in our Houghton location, we had such a successful event that we had partnered with a local humane society and sponsored some animals that actually ended up being adopted pretty quickly. I think that humane society, that shelter, actually was pretty low on animals for a while because a lot of our employees ended up taking them home too. But yeah, so humane society, we participate in local fairs and events. We've had a lot of county fairs. It's that time of year, and you can probably always guarantee that you'll see a Higher Love tent pop up. National parks. doing walks, and we're also in Houghton as well. We're participating in the Parade of Nations, the local event that they have every year with the local tribal community there. Wow. So we really value humans and people and having that personal relationship, and so we're really lucky and very, very happy that we've been able to be as generous as we have been with our customers.
Well, it's significant, and a lot of companies, I feel like, say that they're going to do a lot without actually getting out in the community. So I applaud you guys for doing that. One thing you had mentioned was the fine tuning, right? The fine tuning of what's on your shelves. So how does the product mix work? Are you guys fully vertically integrated and mostly have your own product on the shelves, or is it a mix? And how do you decide when you're doing that fine tuning what you're going to stock?
Yeah, it's a healthy mix. We do have a Higher Love branded products. And really our goal for now, and mostly right now, that's bulk flower. Our own flower that we grow is organically grown. We're actually really, really, really excited that we are one of 2 cannabis companies in the state of Michigan and the only cannabis company in the UP that has achieved the Clean Green certification for an organically grown product. So the quality and the standard that we have for the flower specifically that we put on our shelves is very high. Of course, we make sure that whatever we source in, whether it's our own organically grown product or the product that's under the Higher Love label, that it's as utmost quality as we possibly can grow or source. And then we just then focus on finding price points that work for all of our customers, because you have a wide variety of customers. You want a customer that comes in for a really nice cheap gram of product, and then you've got other customers that they just want the highest quality, highest THC, highest terp profile, whatever they can find, and price doesn't matter. So that's the biggest responsibility that we have, and that I think that we work very, very hard to achieve, is having a happy mix of products for anybody who walks through the door. We have our discount pre-rolls that we have that to offer people that we can't keep on our shelves, because what's better than a $3 pre-roll? And then as far as our other products go, we usually use a lot of personal experience, how we all like the product, appreciate it, what our reviews are per se as employees, and then customer feedback. We take our customer reviews and customer feedback very seriously. In every single one of my stores, we have a board that talks about customer specific requests, customer specific feedback. We post reviews everywhere. So, we can kind of refresh our mindsets when we walk in the door, but then also can strive towards sourcing those types of products that we know people want. And I mean, kudos to our procurement team. I don't know how they do it. I can't even wrap my head around how they do what they do and how they source these products and the relationships that they've created with our vendors to get a product that our customer wants. It's definitely a team effort. That's a very, very busy department for us. And it's really just to try to make the customers happy.
Have you ever had to remove product from the shelves based on feedback?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And in fact, I've had to make some tough decisions a few times, just because, none of us are martyrs in this industry, right? Let's be honest. We're in retail. We're selling a product that people want to consume. And so, the industry itself, though, can get a little sassy at times. It's got their little innuendos or their own little slang names or phrases or strains. And there have been a few that have been pretty racy that we've pulled off the shelves. And then also same with products that aren't hitting right. If a customer is having a bad experience, or we have customers that have adverse reactions at all, we take that very, very seriously. And then, yes, we will definitely pull them back and communicate with a vendor or the state or, whomever is appropriate based on the circumstance.
Well, I think that shows a good understanding of your client base, where it's just like, too sassy. That's too sassy for the group of 70-year-olds.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the 70-year-old biddies might giggle a little bit at it, but it might be some of the other folks that don't care for it so much. But, okay. But yeah, we've pulled some. Yeah, we definitely have.
I was really impressed with the Clean Green certification. Has that been a differentiator for you and your product on the shelves?
Yes. Yes. And one of the things that we found out about really early on is how much our customers really pay attention to that, and how much our customers really came to us saying, okay, what's from your grow? Because we know you're pursuing this organically grown certification. So we had customers coming to us wanting that organic product. We also have some customers that have some disorders that the only product that they can have is organically grown product, because their bodies are so sensitive to different chemicals or pesticides or treatments that other canna companies might use. So that for us has always been a really big deal, and we've seen the value in what our customers want. And that just pushed us that much harder for wanting to achieve this. And I'm not going to pretend like I know all of the details about what that cultivation team had to go through to get us to that point. But I know that it was intense, and I know that it was a long process. It was a long time coming. And it required a lot of inspections, a lot of different validations of what we're using, and time to get to that point. I think there's a reason why there's only 2 in the state of Michigan that have this certification. And it's because it's such an intensive process that I think sometimes companies just decide to forego it. But that was never in our mind to do. We wanted that certification right out of the gate.
So it's good to have the certification, but is it the finest cannabis in the UP?
Of course it is. Of course it is. It's beautiful. We've got some amazing, well, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Cannabis Cup, High Times Cannabis Cup, contest, I guess, that they have every year. We submitted some of our product into that contest, and we actually got a number 2 ranking for our Tokyo Drip that we had submitted as in the indica flower category. So I think that kind of speaks for itself. I mean, I almost don't even need to say that I think it's the best, because the state kind of decided that it was.
Right. You have the hardware to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know, and I know that you're not on the cultivation side directly, but I know it's probably part of the entire mindset. Is that why you guys choose to grow in soil?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. No other even second thoughts about that.
Okay. One of the things was the ongoing messaging about wellness, particularly around individuals in your client base. How do you go about your mission to empower others on this wellness journey? How do you help them, like when it comes to a consultation, when somebody new is coming into your dispensary, and how do you kind of treat each individual client?
Well, some of the first things that our bud tenders do when they've got a new customer that's coming to the table that maybe doesn't know what they want or are coming for a specific purpose, we will ask them, how do you want to feel? That's our main question that we ask people, because the standard industry knows the traditional dominances, right? They know sativa, they know indica, they know hybrid. As a culture, as a cannabis culture, we do try to get away from that a little bit. We are trying to focus a little bit more on effects and how people want to feel, because a sativa might give you a couple of different types of effects. It might not always be that high giggly. It might be a little bit more cerebral, and it might be a little bit more, just not quite the angle that someone is looking for. And so I think that by asking a customer what they want to feel, that really guides the conversation. One of the experiences that I had early on while I was still doing bud tending within the Crystal Falls store is we had a woman come in, and we knew that she was from out of state, and she was a little quiet. Her husband was a little quiet. And you could just tell that something was a little off, right? What's going on? And we try to have those personal interactions with our customers. We don't just leave it at, hey, what can I get for you today? We try to have that personal conversation. How you feeling? What's going on? What brings you to town? And get to know that person a little bit. And come to find out, she was going through some treatments for extreme pain. And the only thing that helped her pain was certain strains of cannabis flower. And she could not believe, and was kind of after we chatted a little bit, she could not believe how much product she was able to leave with that day. And we're bound by certain regulations, of course. So within those regulations, we can sell a certain amount, and then we have to start a new transaction, and then we can sell another certain amount and start another transaction. And she was just blown away that she could go home with something that would actually make her feel better, where nothing else did. And pain meds were not helping, heavy hitting opioids she was not interested in. And the Crystal Falls border location was the closest location to her that she could actually source some product, high quality, safe, regulated product that could treat her pain. And by the end of the conversation, and through some tears and emotions, they both warmed up, and we're both very thankful. And oh my gosh, we're just so happy that you're here. And I just can't believe that I can get all of this to help me feel better. And it's really just having those personal interactions with those customers to say, how do you want to feel? What do we have for you to help you get to where you want to be? And that really guides so much of the conversation, truly.
Do you miss, in your new role, do you miss those interactions day to day as a bud tender?
Every day. One of my favorite stories, and this is just the stuff I don't get to see anymore, because I know we've got customers like this all the time, but we had just opened Crystal Falls. And again, like I was saying earlier, all walks of life coming through the door. And it was an old timer that came in, and a really kind of like stereotypically looking Vietnam vet kind of vibe, gray around the ears, and long beard and camo jacket, and just kind of that very, stereotypical kind of look. And I'm behind the counter, and I've got my team there with me, and you walk through the sales floor door, and there's a little bit of space between the doors and the sales counter. He walks in, and he just stops right when he gets in the door, and super serious face on. And he walks through the door, and he just yells, "Everybody stop!" And so we're all thinking, oh gosh, like we've only been open for a month, we're already getting robbed, what's going on here? So we're all just like, the air gets sucked out of the room, right? Everybody stop. And so we're all just, okay. And he's like, "This is the first time I have ever purchased legal weed in my life, and I am all about this. Who is going to serve me today?" And it was the coolest experience. And all of us are just like, okay, get up here. But so many moments like that are just, that's what makes it. That's what drives us. That's why we're here. And why we love our mission, and the fact that we do appeal to all types of people, and they like our logo, they like our branding, they feel comfortable when they walk through the door. And yes, those are definitely the times that I miss. But every time that I'm in store, I really do try to make a point to get out on the sales floor, maybe, help somebody find a product or two. I walk around to all the customers. What brings you here today? Thank you so much for being here. And trying to have that personal connection, because I don't get it a lot anymore. So yeah, I do miss it.
What is your approach to retail?
How
do you like stand out amongst a pool of, 35 dispensaries in the UP now?
Yeah. Honestly, if I sit here and think about it, I really think the mission drives the approach. Yeah. I really do. I have to come back to that, because, retail companies, chains come and go. We know that, it's the story of time. And our focus is to give our customers the best experience that they can possibly have. We have a lot of new kind of ideas and initiatives in the pipeline right now that I'm really excited about. I'm not at a point, unfortunately, where I can share it too much. So it's a little bit of a tease. We might have to have another chat a little bit down the road when we expand a little bit here. But we've got some really neat ideas we want to create an experience. We don't just want to be a cannabis company that people come to get products, to get weed, to get whatever they need to help them on their wellness journey. We want to be a spot to go to that people have other things to come to us for, not just the product. So we're trying to really focus on ways that we can create an experience for our customers that rise a little bit more above the traditional retail model, or cannabis retail model, I guess, pointedly. And we're really excited about that. But yeah, I would say our approach to retail it's all about our customers. It's the experience that we give our customers. It's the mission that drives us. And that will always be our focus.
Was there, on a personal level, did you have any apprehension as to how the UP Midwestern personality was going to accept you as a cannabis professional?
So for me personally, yes and no. I'm very fortunate. I still have a fair amount of my grandparents still with me. And honestly, that was the toughest conversation, was with my grandparents, because I talk to them like I talk to my parents. I have my conversations with my mom and dad, and then I'm like, okay, now go to these grandparents, and it was really incredible. A lot of questions. I had one family member in particular that would give me a lot of jokey ribbing kind of comments here and there. But initially, I think there was some feeling of, I wonder how this person is going to receive this. But once I got into it and started the work, I realized that a lot of people just have a lot of questions about it. And it's not even so much that they might not approve or, look down upon it, as much as they just want to understand it better. And so that for me has been, when I see that surprise on their face and kind of know which angle to hit as far as how to ask questions or open the conversation, a lot of people just want to ask questions about it. So for me personally, I've had a very rounded career. I've had a lot of different jobs. I started working at 13 years old. And I've done a lot of different things. So from the sake of another change up for Lindsay, I don't think that really surprised too many people, but most of my career has been in healthcare. So, for me, I've always been a people person. I've always just wanted to do best for the person in front of me, or make people feel welcome or included, or like they've got a safe space to be with me or working with me. And honestly, that hasn't changed. There are so many things that I have taken from all of my different jobs in my career of jobs that I've been able to apply in this role, in this job with this company. And I found myself like, wow, thanks to that old boss. Oh, thanks to that old boss. Or working with the state entities, working for the state of Wisconsin or for local government. I understand licensing processes. I did them for a while, so I think for me personally, while it seemed like the transition might be a little weird and a lot to get to know, I've really been able to just apply many things that I've learned, and I've been able to open up a lot of different conversations with questions that people have. So it's been cool.
Do you make it down to Wisconsin at all anymore?
Yes.
So what has your interpretation or how you feel about Wisconsin and the state's approach towards prohibition of cannabis, how has that evolved ever since, you've seen the other side sitting on top of the state?
I know. Yeah. It's interesting because I know when the current governor came into his seat, that marijuana was on his portfolio, if you will, but traditionally the state had been such a Republican focused state and a very conservative focused state for so long that I knew that even though, you hear a lot of rumors, you hear a lot of fodder, a lot of people have opinions about it. I knew that it would probably be a long time, if at all, before federal regulation that Wisconsin would go. It's interesting, there's a lot of long-standing programs in the state of Wisconsin that have a lot of feelings about it. We know Wisco to be a big kind of party state. We have fun. We love our drinks. We love our cheese. Things like that seem like cannabis could find a home in there. But I think people feel very defensive over what they've created. And I'm thinking about, the tavern leagues and just, the different entities that are in place that I think are a little nervous about what regulation and legalization in Wisconsin might do to their own circumstances. So I've always been a little skeptical, if I'm being honest with you, about whether or not Wisconsin would go. I was very lucky when I lived in Wisconsin. The municipality that I lived in the Fitchburg area was legal. So I was able to, feel comfortable and safe having some product with me at my apartment. And we just have to be so mindful about those municipality lines and, don't cross the wrong line. But it's a very interesting situation for Wisconsin for sure. And I don't know if it's appropriate to call it or not, but I would say I would be surprised if Wisconsin legalizes before federal legalization.
No, it's the disappointing truth. But I think so when Illinois went legal, everyone, there's a clear delineation between Wisconsin and Illinois in terms of culture. But then there's Minnesota, and Minnesota's a little bit closer as well. But I think the closest to sort of the Wisconsinite lifestyle is the UP, which is why I think the experience that you have up in the UP and what's happening up there could most closely resemble what a Wisconsin market would look like.
Yeah, I completely agree. Actually, probably about half of my life I lived in Wisconsin. I was in the Green Bay area for college and, about 10 years total. And then, of course, I was down in Madison for about 3-4 years. And then I was also in Menominee. I lived in Menominee, but I worked in Marinette. So, I've spent maybe about 15, 16 years in Wisconsin. And I completely agree with you. I always felt at home, regardless of where I was in Wisconsin, because it does so closely resemble and model the same values and experiences of the UP. So, a few more farmlands, not quite as many vast, forests there, but yeah, I completely agree with you. I wish that Wisconsin would be a little bit easier to push over to the other side, but there's just some longstanding values there that make me feel like it's going to be a minute yet.
Do you know the percentage of sales that you guys do from people that cross the border?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yes, I would say for a while, we were seeing every week, still about 80% new customers every single week. And I would say probably around, I might be exaggerating it a little bit. I'm not exactly sure what the number looks like, but I think around 70% out of state. Okay.
I mean, that's what I figured. Like when I experienced it to the other side of the state, towards the Illinois border, it was like 80%, of people are from Wisconsin, just going for a drive,
Yeah. I'm fine. Don't bother me. Yeah, that's why we found ourselves on the border a lot. We've really tried to seek out and find really good border store locations that fit our mission, that fit what we want to do and what we want to bring to the community. And so Menominee here is going to be our 4th border location. Crystal Falls is our 1st, and then Ironwood. And then maybe about 4 months ago, we opened Norway. And then we are literally about to open here in Menominee. So, yeah.
Well, Best of luck with that. I know that, I mean, has the stress of opening new locations gotten easier or worse?
I mean, I still have some hair here, so I mean, I think it's there are parts of it that are easier, and there are parts of it that are the same.
Yeah.
It just depends on which category of the opening process you're looking at it. You know, sourcing our product and having some practices in place and knowing how to do some of the actual operational tasks is easier. Um, but there's still a lot of the unexpected challenges that come with putting up a new location. For Menominee especially, we're running a completely different sales model here. Primarily, our other store locations have a really robust in-store shopping sales program. For Menominee, we have been working on trying to get up and running a little bit faster than normal. And with that in mind, we sourced a trailer, and we are going to be operating, and that's what I'm in actually right now. I'm in our new location here in Menominee, and it's going to be focused on online pre-orders and curbside orders. We're hoping that people find us online before they arrive, but we will have means for people to come and shop here if they haven't placed an order ahead of time as well. And we're going to be running this sales model until our permanent building, which is literally right next door, is up and open for in-store sales. But we just kind of wanted to get ahead of the winter a little bit and try to kind of get some traction here a little bit before the slow season per se. We've adapted our sales program a little bit more to, and we have online ordering and curbside in our other store locations, but we've never led with it like we are here. So we're really evaluating our processes, making sure the transactional experience is efficient and effective. So it's a little bit of a new, fresh challenge for me here, just because we're leading in a little bit of a different way this time until our permanent store is ready. Okay.
As you said, you've been working since you were 13. Did you ever anticipate that you'd be in a cannabis career?
No, never. I still to this day will say I cannot believe that this is the path that I'm walking. But it's just a testament to, you just don't know where your life is going to take you. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what's going to happen in your career. When I moved back up to the UP, to be with my now husband and move in and kind of start our life together, I had no clue that the city was going to try to dissolve my position within 2 years. It's a small area, right? There's not a whole lot for jobs. It was scary. It's a scary transition to make, and I never in a million years would have thought that this would be what my career would have led me to. But then my husband and I will often say we still can't believe that we actually have a cannabis store in our hometown. And it's really been quite a ride and such an incredible experience. I have learned so much. I learn so much every day. Not only does retail change on a regular basis, but the industry changes on a regular basis. If it's not a new product, it's a new regulation. If it's not a new store, it's, a new state. It's really intense. It keeps you on your toes. I've worked harder now in this job than I have ever worked in any job. But man, is it worth it? It's worth it to see the faces of the customers that we serve and those happy moments like that old vet that came in and the emotional moments like the woman who with her pain, and just the daily customers that you get to say, "Hey, David, nice to see you today. Super happy you came in. Are we grabbing you that bag of gummies? Are you out of your sleepy gummies? You liked this infused pre-roll the last time. What you coming in for?" And it's just been incredible. As long as I'm working with people, doesn't matter where my career takes me.
So, depending on where your career takes you, in your opinion, is it cannabis for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I love this. I love this company. I love the industry. I'm not sure what it would look like if or when I was ever ready for freshening up. I've actually had a lot of different roles within this company alone as we've grown, because we've grown so fast. I mean, we opened 5 retail stores within 1 year. I mean, that's insane. And it's been busy. So, you know, I've evolved a lot within the company. I'm so proud of the fact that when I came into this company and stepped in full force, like if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do it with hesitation. Right. And, you know, to start and to be a bud tender, to sit in reception, and then to be an assistant manager, and then a store manager, and then a regional manager, and then into training, and now kind of lucky enough to be doing what I'm doing now and overseeing all of the retail locations. I'm proud that I can say I can still get behind a POS and do a transaction, and that's kind of been the fun thing of it. So even within this company in itself, there's been so much evolution that you just don't know what's coming next.
Opening 5 locations in a year. Did you guys ever run into supply chain problems?
Oh my goodness, yes, especially post-pandemic. I mean, opening in February of 2001, I mean, that's what was pretty tight to that pandemic window. And yes, I mean, we still have issues sometimes sourcing our sales bags and, you know, making sure that things are getting to us on time, or, you know, certain products. I mean, if obviously the work industry has changed so much between pre and post pandemic. And so sometimes the vendor might not have had enough people on the line to make those gummies and to pack those gummies and to get them shipped and sent out to us. So yeah, it's definitely getting better, but yes, we definitely ran into some supply chain issues. Mm-hmm.
Does Higher Love have any ambition of moving to a new state, or is it Michigan for the foreseeable future?
We are moving into other states. Yes. Yes, okay. We are. As we all know, Minnesota has turned over to recreational. And so that is our next endeavor. We're pursuing some regulations, and we're trying to find our footing. But I would say Minnesota will probably be pretty soon for us. Well,
Lindsay, it's been a pleasure catching up with you. Before we get out of here, is there anything else that you want to make sure the Cannabis Equipment News audience either knows about yourself or Higher Love?
Other than just make your way to the UP. It's amazing how many people across the country, even in our surrounding states, kind of don't even realize that we're up here. So more than anything, just that reminder that we're here, and you know, we're here waiting with open arms to have you come through the door. And there are just so many beautiful things to do here, and we're very lucky to have some of our store locations in some of the most beautiful areas of the UP. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Munising and Pictured Rocks, and that we have a store right up there. You know, Marquette is a staple for the college community. We've got a lot of border stores. Over in Ironwood, we've got all of those beautiful ski hills, and, you know, right on the edge of the westernmost part of the UP. You know, so I really would say that if there's anything to be said, just letting people know that we're out here, and the UP is waiting for you to show up, and we're here to be a part of that visit.
Well, I'm glad you're there. And thank you very much for joining me today, Lindsay. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate it. It's been fun chatting today.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. You can also email the podcast. You can reach me at david@cannabisequipmentnews.com with email the podcast in the subject line. You can also subscribe to our daily newsletter. Make sure you get it delivered to your inbox first. All right. For Lindsay Martwick, Director of Retail at Higher Love, I'm David Manti. This is the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast.